everybody, it's Brock and we got a brand new episode of All About. Today we are learning all about the banded moray eel, or as other people like to call them, the barred moray. Now I haven't brought an eel to the table in a while, so I'm really happy to be bringing something new to the table you might want to put in your tank. Now a lot of these can be mistaken for the zebra eel, but this one is slightly different, and whenever you look at the face you can definitely tell it looks more like a snowflake's eel's face rather than the zebra moray. Prices on them, you'll normally see juveniles running about $80 and $120 and up from adults, whether you want to get a smaller one or one that already has some size going into your tank. Tank size, I would recommend eventually having about a 180 by the end of their lifespan, as they do get pretty large and they will need plenty of room and a good long tank for them to swim around and explore. Care level, they are moderate to take care of, and most of the time it just has to deal with their eating. Getting them to eat at the beginning can be very stressful and it can be very hard, but once they get to eat, they're a very hardy eel to have in the tank and they do really well. Temper, they can be semi-aggressive. In some cases I've seen some be very aggressive, so it kind of varies, but you definitely are getting a more aggressive eel in your tank. We've seen some chase fish like little chromies and bottom dwellers, and then we've seen some that don't mess with anything, so it kind of just varies in between. Normally if you ask your LFS before getting them, see how aggressive they are in their tanks, that way whenever you bring him home he's not terrorizing your fish. Reef safe, definitely with caution, as he will not harm your corals. The worst thing he's going to do to your coral is actually just run over it trying to get to some food or into a new spot in the tank. But for fish, he definitely can eat smaller fish and crustaceans. You know, if you have a nice little fire shrimp or cleaner shrimp in there, you can definitely bet he's going to see that as a snack and not just one of his friends in the tank. Temperature, you want to keep at 72 to 78, DKH 8 to 12, pH 8.1 to 8.4, and your salinity 1.020 to 1.025. All that's basic there. The main thing is they are a predatory fish and they are a very messy eater, so you definitely want to make sure you keep those levels like your ammonia, your nitrates, your nitrites down. That way he has a good, nice water to swim in. Max size, they definitely can get about 2 feet long by the end of their lifespan, so not crazy big like some of those eels that can get 4 feet long, but 2 feet, still a really nice size eel that you'll want plenty of room in your tank for him to go around. Colors, so what you'll see is a brownish black coloration with white stripes going up and down him all throughout, with little freckles on him, little black spots and brown spots all down his body. He's very pretty fish to have in the tank. Diet, so they are carnivore. Frozen foods on a skewer is like one of your best bets to keep this guy happy. Definitely go get some raw shrimp from the grocery store, not spiced up, nothing crazy, just basic raw shrimp. He'll love it. Also oysters on a half shell, you can take the oyster off the shell, put that on, and he'll love that too. There's a whole bunch of silver sides are another really good one. You can cut those up and feed it to him. Put them on a skewer. You can definitely go down there, as an eel's eyesight is very bad. Teasing the food in front of their face is a great way to attract them to eating. They'll smell that and they'll come out of their cave looking for it around, so just keep that right by his face, teasing him, and I promise you he'll come up there and eat it. Another really good thing to do whenever you're having him in a predator tank and all your other fish eat this kind of food too, a skewer sometimes doesn't work because your puffers and your triggers are just running up there and tearing it off before you even get it down to the eel. So a lot of times at the shop we would use a siphon tube and put that in the tank right by its cave opening, drop the shrimp in there, and it will fall through the tube up into its mouth. That way no triggers and puffers can jump on it before it's even getting to them. So another good trick to try out. Origin, they do come from the Indo-Pacific area. Compatibility, just ask. I do recommend one eel per tank, as they can be aggressive towards the other eels, and they'll also be competing for food, so sometimes eels will become too stressed out when multiple are in the tank and they'll stop coming out to eat, which you definitely do not want. Plus, they are very messy eaters and keep your levels up, so water changes not being in place at the right time can definitely spike your tank. And so just having one in there, having your normal monthly water changes will definitely be a lot easier on you. Now for a tank setup on an eel, you definitely want a closed in top. Usually glass lids are one of the best ways to go. and have every bit of it covered. You can normally use those plastic strips and cut so that your pipes can still run into the tank like normal. But I'm promising you, if there's a hole up there that he can squeeze through, I'm telling you, he will find it. So make sure it's all covered up there, especially for the first few months that you're taking care of them, because they will be very, very explorative in the tank. A thick sand bed is a must with anchored rock, because they can and will knock rock over to get somewhere, especially when they're first introduced and they're trying to find their ways in their caves that they like to go through. Now, once they are accustomed to the tank, it's less common for them to be knocking over rocks, because they tend to go back through the same caves each time throughout your tank. But you want to make sure if you have some glue or anything like that, or just heavier rocks that you know they're not going to shift if he runs into them, then you should be good. One of the best eel tanks we ever built was one. We built a maze of PVC pipes at the bottom, big enough for him to grow into, all around the tank, just a huge maze for him to run through. And then we put tons of sand on top of it, covering it up, and then built a live rock structure on top. So it gave the eel all the rock structure to swim in, and also he could go down in those PVC pipes and have just a huge area for him to go and explore. It was a awesome, awesome tank. So it's definitely one thing to look out for if you're wanting to build one. Now, you do want a soft sand bed, as their skin can get rashes on sands like crushed coral. We've seen it happen before. It's just too rough for them, and it's not good for them. You definitely want to keep your eel happy and not having to deal with that. So get a nice aragonite. You know, there's some Hawaiian black sands out there that are real soft for him to go in. Now, an eel will not charge you as long as he knows you're in the tank, so don't fret. Just know where he is, and normally you can put a net in front of his cave and he'll stay back. And then they'll tend to hide from you the entire time you're in the tank. But one of the big things we like to keep in key whenever you are feeding them, or when you're in the tank cleaning it, keep your hands in a fist. Don't keep little fingers swimming around, making them think that's a little shrimp bouncing around the tank. You definitely don't want that. So keep your hands closed. He sees a big object, he's not going to go for it. Other than that, that pretty much hits on everything for the banded moray eel. If y'all do have any questions, please leave them down below. I'd love to help out and see if you can have one in your tank. The main thing is just keep that food feeding them. You know, normally when feeding these eels, we used to feed them, you know, every other day at least. And as they got older, they started feeding, you know, every couple of days, just a bigger amount. Just kind of depends. When they're young, they like to eat every day. You just have to really watch your eel and see if he's coming out every day, then he's definitely wanting food every day. Hope you all have a great day. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video. Leave some comments down below if you've ever taken care of one. And I will see y'all later. Hey everybody, it's Brock, and today's video is sponsored by Dream Team Forever. Make sure to check out our website, as we just released the first ever All About tees that feature 30 fish and inverts from the series. Click the link in the description to get some for you and your family.